We're in Baal Shem, Sefer Baal Shem Tov Amud HaTfilah, Ois Kov Chov Dalid. We started this piece last time, but we didn't finish it. It's quite a long piece, so we're going to start over. He says, קיבלתי מרבייסה עם פספורם דהתפילה בכל יום צורך כוונה אחרת. Every day is a new world. Every day the situation is different. The world is in a different condition. So if you walk up to an individual, you want to know what's the right thing to say to him, you have to get to know his situation. How's it been going? What has he been experiencing? It's not always the same. Not always the same things will be the right things to say. And the same goes for the collective. Even though the words we have in the prayer, the meaning of those words and how it applies to that moment is constantly shifting. It's constantly changing based on the situation at hand. And so every day is a different intention. וזה שאמרו בש"ס, אם יוכל אחד יש דובר וכולי, ראי מכרח על זה דין נתפילה היא לברר ניצויצס מרפח ניצויצן מונן תבירים. So he says, how do we see the change in the prayer every day? Is if we're going to look at the thoughts that come to interfere with our prayer. We'll see that they're different every day. And so that means our mind is in a different place. We're thinking different thoughts. And so this relates to the Repach Netzoitzin of the broken vessels. The vessels that we've been mentioning recently, a few times we've had it, that before the creation of the world, there was an event where all the forces were created, but they were missing the ability to cooperate. They were missing the ability to respect each other and get along. And then there was a shattering of the vessels. These vessels couldn't contain the light that they were meant to carry. And when the vessels shattered, the world came to save those broken shards, the sparks of the infinite light, the being that is all, that has lost touch with the fact. They lost touch with the fact that they are that. They've forgotten themselves, thinking that they're something other. And they've gotten into conflict with reality and with other members of the broken shards. And so these sparks need to be liberated. And for this we have a soul that comes from the heavens, that comes into the flesh that's made from the earth, in order to be sifting through all the different perspectives and experiences that are available within this body, and learn what was the original intent, what was the original truth that gave birth to these beings, to these forces, to these ways of behaving or thinking or being or experiencing, to these organs and the way that they operate and the way that they cooperate. To go back and reattach everything that is to the source that made it, so that it's no longer lost, so that it no longer thinks that it is something other. Because as long as something thinks that it's something other, so as far as consciousness, as far as awareness is concerned, there is something other. Who is the other? The one who doesn't know that he is it. He's the other. He became the enemy now. Why? Because he is acting as if he's another. He believes that. And so now he is dangerous. Now he can do terrible things. He doesn't know who he is. He doesn't realize what's in his best interest anymore. He doesn't know how to protect himself from his own illusion. And so these sparks are waiting to be liberated. They're suffering because they've lost their true identity. They don't know who they are. They don't know how they belong. They don't know what role they're supposed to play. They don't feel that they're good enough for the task. They don't recognize what their real strength is and why they're valuable. They measure themselves in the wrong measures. And all this because they think that there's something other, there's something else, something that needs to be justified somehow. Something that doesn't belong unless it's going to fulfill some type of criteria. And so these broken sparks, they need to be liberated by one who can reattach them to reality. They've lost sight of reality. They don't know right from wrong. They don't know good from bad. They don't know enemy from friend. They can't tell the difference. They don't know heaven from hell. They don't know which behavior is going to bring which. And so these sparks need to be liberated because they're not doing very well. Things haven't gone their way. Since they got lost, they've gotten more lost. A lot more lost. Thousands of years more lost when we come in to try to liberate them. So lost that as soon as we come into this world, we get lost together with them. We don't anymore know who we are and why we're here. And what's our real strength? And what's the right measure? We've forgotten all this. How? We're coming from the heavens. We're a soul. A soul knows everything. How did we forget? Oh, because we came amongst the broken shards. They're very convincing. They're good actors. This is what the world has come down to. The good actors, that's what's believed. That's the face of everything. So the soul comes into the body, and the body is a good actor. It seems to not care about what the soul has to say, even though the whole body was just designed for the soul. It's a vessel for the soul. It has no other purpose. But there are parts of reality here that don't recognize their own nature. They don't know who they are. We need the soul to remind them who they are. Not because they're something else. They can never be something else. But boy, can they think things. Boy, can they make things up. Boy, can they imagine. They're swimming in an ocean of imagination and they don't know which way is which. They imagine things to be real. They imagine things to be imagined. They have a whole structure. But it's all imagined. Also the real and also the imagined. All imagined. The real has left the planet a long time ago. The real was once known, but today it's been forgotten. Today the real is imagined. There's the imagined real and the imagined imagined. And this is because of these broken shards. This is because these sparks have been animating bodies and causing all kinds of havoc. Things that think they're not what they are doing things as if they're not what they are. And yet they are what they are. And their soul will know it. As long as they're busy in the body, they can think what they think. As soon as they leave the body, they will know that they are what they are, and they offended it very, very deeply. Because they could never be something else. The broken shards are broken, that's why they lie. Because they've been distant from their nature, they don't know their nature. They don't know who they're serving, they don't know who they're worshipping, they don't know why they're doing what they're doing. That's the sign of a broken shard. He doesn't know. He doesn't know why he's doing what he's doing. If he would know, that would be the place where he attaches to reality. And then the broken shard comes home. Then he wakes up. Then he realizes the purpose of why he is. And so every day, this is the work. This is why we set aside time for prayer. What does it mean, set aside time for prayer? What are you doing? How are you helping the world? I'm setting aside time where I'm not going to be busy with the body and what the body needs. I'm going to be busy with the soul and what the soul needs. And we're going to be busy with what the world needs. The world needs that everyone should realize the nature of what's happening. The world needs this desperately. People are dying in the streets. And so how do I help that happen? If I can start processing the broken shards, all the wrong beliefs, I have to start processing, facing, oh, I was wrong here and I was wrong there. There's a truth, there's a reality, there's something that can hold me if I can find it. And so it's to reattach to something real, because all day we're busy with what's not real. If people made it, it's not real. Yes, you can get something for it, you can make a deal, you can have different physical things, external things as a result of playing that game, but it's still not real. It's just people deciding what to do based on whatever they decide. They decide this paper is worth this, then it's worth this. They decide it's worth that. It's just a decision made in the mind. This is not reality. So what we're doing when we're not busy with the soul is that we're busy with something that's not ultimately real. And so of course we have to do in order to survive. This is what the soul requires of us. We are in a hostile environment. This world wasn't created and designed for what's right for our nature. It was created and designed for what was right for some individual at some point in the past. And so when the world will live according to what's right for our nature, of course, everything will look and feel different. And so until then, we're in exile. Exile means we're doing things that we wouldn't want to do, but we have to. Because we're not in the world that was designed for us, we're in the world that was designed for something else. This world was designed for many different nations, but not ours. It was designed for the Greeks, it was designed for the Romans. It was designed for all types of madmen in between. They dictated, they decided, they made rules, they made laws, they said right, they said wrong. It's all there, it all lives on. And so we're going to have to do things that are not necessarily pleasant for us. We're going to have to go out of our way because we need to survive in whatever environment we find ourselves. That's the first rule, is we have to survive in order to be able to have soul. We have to have body. But we need to set aside time every single day for the soul, to heal the soul. To face ourselves, to face what do we believe, what do we think is happening here? How do we think that this could even happen? What went wrong? How can we make sure that we're not part of that when going wrong? Because certainly that's not the intention, is that we should do it wrong. And so we need every day to set time for awareness, for prayer. Prayer means avodah shebelev. Avodah shebelev means the cleansing of the heart. By saying the things, the wonderful things about the Creator, what is going to happen? Everything inside of you that thinks otherwise is going to surface. And good, that's exactly what we're trying to accomplish. Let everyone who disagrees say what they have to say, because we have to resolve these things. There is a truth, and only if we're completely on the side of the truth can we possibly succeed. And so we have to bring home the shards. This is to create desire from within the Shekhinah, to show that we care enough, that we want reality back. that we've been imagining enough. We don't like it. We want reality. We want to live based on the intelligence that designed us. We don't want to imagine. We don't want to have illusions, even if it feels good. It's not worth it because it's not the truth. The truth will feel better. And so this shows that creation wants a relationship with Creator. Oh, someone is recognizing that, hey, I'm not stupid. Yeah, he's not stupid. He can create a world. He created very clever people like you and I. He must be very, very clever. So why aren't we trying to become clever like him? What does he want? How does this really work? What are we doing wrong? And so when we pray, if we praise his name, then all those who disagree will come and say what they have to say, and then we're going to face that. We're going to return the sparks to their owner. You think what you think. Oh, you were a very little child. You didn't have the power to understand what's happening around you. You couldn't understand the context. The conclusions about the Creator were not really about the Creator. They were about your parents. They were about your teachers. They were about the way that you understood from your perspective. Not really directly with the Creator. The Creator is something else. The Creator is something you certainly don't want to be in conflict with under any circumstances. Doesn't matter what you did or didn't do or what you think or don't think. And so this is to bring the sparks home, to show the interest of creation to the Creator. Yes, we believe that you have a plan. We know that you are right and we are wrong. And we want to cooperate. We want your plan. We vote for whatever it is that you intended. Don't let anyone get in the way. Even if they promise us the world, we don't want it. The nitzotzes are, the sparks are, the thoughts that are going to come in the middle of his prayer, and they're going to distract him or even argue about what's being said. The wise knows how to find the soul within the thought. There was something good that once wanted to live that resulted in that angry thought. Something good got extremely disappointed that his good didn't happen the way that he imagined, and then he became an enemy of the state. And so now we have to liberate that good. That spark that wanted to do good, that spark belongs to the source. The way that it came out was a result of the shattering, a result of the sparks not being in line, and therefore they have expectations that cannot yet be filled. They have accurate expectations, but they can't yet be filled. There isn't who should fill. The human hasn't yet been properly programmed. He doesn't know how to service other humans. And so all humans are not getting the right service. So these nitzayis hagdoshes senechta v'seich haklippos v'nasa machshava zos, they became strange thought. B'derech mashal she'im bo lo yihiru tava v'snashim mitzad chesed, k'mo shene'emar, ויובן שאם יש לו לזה תאווה מצד ניצוץ אחד קודש, שיש לו עם יד בקצמי בשורש של זה התענוג, ששם הוא התענוג בלי קיצ וערך. So if he has a desire for pleasure, it's from the side of chesed, it's from the side of kindness. Pleasure is about kindness. And so when he sees that that's the direction, he should connect himself to the root of all pleasures that has infinite pleasure. That's where he resides. He resides in a place that's so pleasurable that he can never even imagine being anywhere else. And so in that place, in that root that wants to pull us towards him, this is why he created us. He created the soul, Lis'anag el Hashem, that she should feel the pleasure of getting to know him And so he wants to connect to the root of all pleasures. He wants to go for the biggest pleasure. The biggest pleasure, that's by recognizing the soul, by gaining the right awareness of who you are and why you are. And so if he sees that the root that awakens within him, the broken spark, is related to pleasure, so he returns it to the root of all pleasures. And then he has dveikus in him. Because of this, he gets even more excited about getting close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He uses this opportunity in order to get something, to gain something spiritually. And this is how this spark gets liberated. So Yad Bekatzma V'Shoy Shel Zeh Tanug, he attaches himself to the root of this pleasure. Sheshamu Atanug B'li Kidzu V'Erech, there is pleasure there without any limits. V'chein Behirur Avodah Zarah Chas v'Sholem, the same goes for thoughts of idol worship, idols, idolizing, following people. All the copying that happens, whether it's celebrities or people, any type of people. All this idolizing has to do with Avodah Zarah. It's looking for the easy way out. Why do I have to ask my soul? I can just do what that one is doing. But no, that would be betraying your soul, because what that one is doing is not your soul. Even if you would do the same thing, you have to do it from your soul. Your soul has to say that this is what it wants to do. And so if it's a thought of Avodah Zarah, so then he should realize that whatever safety he is trying to gain from idolizing something is a false sense of safety. He's really, really not safe, because even if that one is right, copying is always wrong. And so if you want safety, you should go to the root of all safety. The root of all safety is the unity that created everything. You should use this opportunity to realize how important is the unity to him, because that's his real source of safety. And then there's shvichas damim, if it comes something with anger, with going against other people, shukav small. And so then, if he finds himself angry at others, then he returns to realizing that they're midas hagvura. He feels insecure. He feels that he needs protection. Who is the source of all protection? Who can really make sure that no one will hurt you? And so he uses that as an opportunity to return to the source, to look to the source. That's the only one that can ever protect us. Every day there's different thoughts. Everything that he sees and experiences in his prayer is really a different prayer. The person needs to be very present and have a very deep awareness to be able to keep up with his heart to where his mouth is running. Because he has to have kavanah as he's saying the words, meaning that his heart has to experience. That's the goal. The experience of the heart. If there's no experience of the heart, there's no avodah shebelev. Then it's not tefillah. And so it takes a lot of awareness to be able to be at that level, where all the parts are working together. If every day he says the same with the same emotion, his tongue is already used to saying the words, his heart's not even there. So that obviously is not considered to be a prayer. That doesn't have an effect in the spiritual realms. That doesn't change the level of awareness of the soul. And so that's, again, it's a physical activity. He's busy with his body. Just like when he's, during his day, he's busy with his body. Now in his prayer, he's also busy with his body. What's he busy with? Moving his lips in order to say the words. It's a physical activity. It's no longer a spiritual activity. Because the heart is left. It's not gaining awareness. It's not becoming closer to the nature that designed it. וזה נראה לי שיש 10 לשונות של תפילה שהם נגד י' מידה שבמלכוס הנקרא תפילה. There's 10 names for prayer which are against the 10 names of the Malchus, the 10 names of the final sphere, which is the Shekhinah that manifests everything. She has 10 names, and therefore there's 10 names of prayer, because she is prayer. Her nature, the nature of the manifested, is that it's praying to the unmanifested, that it should give it life. Because whatever is manifested needs constant support, it needs existence. The unmanifest is still in the palace of the king. Over there you don't need anything. Over there existence is beyond time. But everything in the manifest that's under the Shekhinah is constantly praying, it's constantly cleaving, it's constantly trying to receive a new dose of life from the source. And so these are all forms of prayer. So it has 10 levels, from the Keser Shebemalchus till the Malchus Shebemalchus. לפי מידס יום של אדם, שבכל יום צריך לתקן ניצוץ אחד מפרק היד מידס שבמלכוס, עד שבסוף יום שתיקן מיד האחרון, נתושב בתשובה שלהם למלכוס הנקרא תפילה. So he says that every day a person is working in order to return some of the sparks, in order to unite some of these midas, so that at the end of his life, all the parts, all the chalokim of the malchus that he was supposed to be misakin will go through the process. So he's here as a messenger of the Shekhinah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu animates the Shekhinah within the human soul, and through that, she's going to be mevarer, she's going to create the distinctions between what is pleasing to her husband and what offends her husband. And so we have the soul that represents the intelligence, so that we can know, so that we can tell what is right and what is wrong, so that whoever gives life to the Shekhinah will be pleased with the results. It's all based on what's happening here, because all others are doing their designed tasks. They can't veer off. Only by us can there be a veering off, where things go against their original intent. And so, at the end of his life, he has all the parts that he was supposed to be misakin for her repaired, so that he can come up and deliver what his mission was to accomplish. בערך אדם זה וצינה שלו כמו ביקר זה משיך שיתיקן בכלל העולם כאילו עד הקביים ויהיה לכל ניצוצס ומלכס בערך כל העולם אז זה בא למובס לנצח ויעשה משיח כך בפרוד הסוד המחד נעשה מידסים אבקוי מאחס. So it says, just like in the Golas, we know that there's an entire human being of sparks, there's an entire Tzelem Elohim, there's an entire structure that has all the body parts that we have in soul form that fell into the other side, and until the end of the exile, we have to repair all the sparks. So until Mashiach can come, we first have to finish purifying all these sparks so that the full man can be revealed, so that the healed man can be revealed that represents the truth, that doesn't have an evil inclination to hurt people or to hurt things or to hurt himself or to not protect himself when he's supposed to. And so all these things have to be properly developed. And so therefore it's called Ekvesa de Mashiach. It's the heels. The heels meaning the last generations are doing the lowest part of the body of the sparks that need to be purified. And so he says, the same goes for an individual. Every individual, when he comes into the world, he has his own body of sparks that he has to go through, and he heal all of them. So some days he's busy with healing the sparks in the head, and some days he's busy, and he's going through the entire process of the body until he can heal his entire man, everything he came to heal. And then he becomes a full man. Then he's conquered his shadow. He's conquered the part of him that's against reality. Why was it against reality? Because those are the fallen sparks that he was meant to return home. And so he struggles with them until he returns them home. And so, Azai, when this will happen, then there's no longer death. When it happens on the individual level, it means that he's going to have Mises Nashika. His death is going to feel like a spiritual kiss by the divine. He's suddenly going to realize so much wisdom that he's going to forget he ever had a body. It's going to be so sweet that he's never going to look back. But on the collective level, it's going to be on a physical level that people are going to live differently. They're not going to die like they die now. They're not going to be sick, ever. Because the soul is going to animate the body in a much deeper level. It's going to be pleased with the nature of what's happening to it. It's not going to be in a struggle to survive. It's going to be complemented by existence, the way that it was designed to be. Just like every animal, just like every creature has the right habitat for whatever it needs. And so the struggle is going to cease. The struggle is what we make each other go through. It's not related to nature at all. And so we're going to stop making each other go through struggles. We're going to heal. Our organs are going to be properly attuned so that we have the right attributes, so that we represent the intention of the Creator. This is what it means, Iboy Sidbak, that you should cling to the Creator. How do you cling to the Creator? By aligning with the attributes that He has of compassion and kindness, and constantly trying to heal, trying to help, trying to create good. So when we're going to have these attributes, then there's going to be a different form of life happening in the human body. The concept of death is no longer going to exist the way that we know it now. War is not going to exist, obviously, but disease is not going to exist. Disease is when the soul doesn't really want to animate the body any longer with the full capacity. There's different levels of how much the soul is not animating and in which areas, what was offended, where did it go wrong. But when the soul is going to be fully cooperating with the body, then there's going to be no disease. And therefore, Bila Amovis Lanetzach, that's going to be the time of liberation, the redemption that's going to come very shortly, hopefully. A person needs to know that the prayer that he is praying is not about him. It's not just about his situation. It's not just about how he is feeling. He's doing a service for mankind. He's doing a service for the Shekhinah. He needs to speak up because he's the speaker. This is his soul. His soul speaks. Every part of the creation has their part to do. Our part is to speak. We're the Nefesh HaMedaberes. We need to know how to speak. If we speak wrong, that's much more terrible than not speaking, of course. Because that means we're using the most potent power in the universe against humanity. And so a person needs to know that he's not praying for himself. He's praying for a higher cause. He's here to help the divine so that it can succeed in its project called humanity. So he is here at the service of the Shekhinah, and therefore he says, Here I am, open my lips and say what you have to say. I'm yours. I'm here to speak for you. I'm here to speak in the name of the collective. How are we going to repair this mess? How are we going to unite these sides of the conflict so that we can have unity, so that we can finally have the intended plan? And so he makes himself available to the Shekhinah so that she can talk through him and say what needs to be said a person that prays only for his own problems, the Shekhinah is crying, he gave me, my power, my soul, my ability to speak, he gave it into a man who doesn't work for me. He doesn't work for my purpose. He's not helping me get to where I'm trying to go. He's selfish, busy with his own situation. He doesn't see my suffering. He doesn't see that I suffer a few billion times what he suffers every second. And I'm still carrying knowledge of the pain of thousands of years. They're all fresh in me as if they happened today. Because it hasn't been forgiven, it hasn't been forgotten, it hasn't been settled. There hasn't been the proper consequences for what happened. There hasn't been justice. The Shekhinah will not rest until there is justice. Justice means that everything that happened wrong is going to be made right. Then she will rest. Then she will return. And so we give her our power, and then she can come out of her exile. But if a man is just busy with his own problems, he doesn't see the bigger problem, then she says, you've given my power into the hands of someone who doesn't care about me. If he has the right intention, miyad nana, that goes up directly. That intention means, oh, this is what we've been looking for. It goes directly through. If there's the intention of helping the Shekhinah within a prayer, then immediately the doors are opened. The request of a person is included in the Bina. The Bina is the level from where the neshamas come. Therefore she's called Em Kol Chai, the mother of all that live. She's called Ima Eloah. The Chachma is called Abba. Abba and Ima. These are the two pairs. Tren rein the lo misparshin. These are two lovers that never go apart. The Abba and Ima, the Chachma and the Bina. So because the Shekhinah gets answered, he gets what he was praying for, because when she gets answered, then she can give to us whatever it is we desire. It's the depth of your heart. Is it about you? Is it about the bigger picture? If the depth of your heart is about you, and you're manipulating and saying, oh yeah, I'm crying about everyone else, well, the depth of your heart is what's going to dictate the spiritual weight of your intention. And so if at the depth of the heart it's really about the greater good, and seeing the pain of the Shekhinah, recognizing the terrible, terrible tragedy that's happening, not just now because we see and we feel what's taking place, but the entire time, even while everyone was singing and dancing and laughing and hanging out and having a good time, even then the tragedy was unbearable as far as the Shekhinah is concerned. And so if the intention is real, then it goes. That is what goes through to give the intention the proper weight, to break through all the obstacles, all the barriers. So Hashem Yisbarach Yorlonu La'avda B'emes B'sam, HaKadosh Baruch Hu should enlighten us so that we can really direct our attention accurately. V'simen Lai D'Shiyanana, what's the siman, what's the sign that he's going to get answered? K'mashomer HaKosef, Tochen Libam Takshiv Aznecho. If their heart is accurate, if there's sensitivity in the heart as the prayer is being said, then Takshiv Aznecho, it means that you're going to listen. And so he says, this is the sign. The sign is the heart really allowed to create deep intention, or are there obstacles and distractions that are not allowing the intention to go deep? If the heart was opened, then we know that the ears listened, which essentially means we need to open the heart because that's the nature of how the process works. That's the place where HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides, is within the human hearts. And so when the heart is open, we have an effect on the decision. When the heart is closed, then whatever is happening and we're not allowed in. And so the sign of Tochen Libam, if you see the heart was prepared properly, oh, you know why? Because you are a messenger and this decision has to be part of the collective, and therefore the heart was properly prepared and you created that desire. If it wasn't the time of desire, that he should be able to go into the doors of the king and get an answer, there would be a distraction. That's one of the servants of the king that says, hey, you don't have a right to ask this right now because this is not in the best interest of the collective. If they allow him into the king, it's a sign that whatever he wants is going to be fulfilled. Because there's no one that's standing in his way of fulfilling the desire of his heart. Because the nature of the collective, the one that is giving life, is that he wants to give as much life as we're capable of receiving, as long as it's good for us and it's good for everyone. And so if he opens our hearts, it means he allows us to say whatever we have to say in front of the greater one, in front of the one who is really in charge. And so if we say it in front of him, he gives everything to everyone. This is his nature. He's created all these barriers so that we can't always say what we want to say to him, because then if he would give it to us, it wouldn't be good. So there are all kinds of levels that we have to go through before we can say it to him. But if we already know that we said it to him, whatever we say to him is for sure going to get fulfilled. The same goes for the judgment that we have after we leave the world. Whoever gets to him and gets judged in front of him only gets judged favorably. The problem is that many times we don't make it to him in order to get judged. There are forces on the way that maybe we worshipped while we were alive, maybe we were very busy with and we gave them a lot of power over us while we were alive. These forces are not letting us get to him and they're judging us, and boy can they be cruel, because we might have created them cruel. And so if we get to him, he will judge everyone favorably. No one will go out of his courtroom and get punished. No one. But to get to his courtroom is a privilege. It means that you didn't worship anything else enough that they can get in your way. And so he is the source of chesed and rachamim. If the heart opens and you know you said to him, of course he's going to do it. But can you open the heart and say it to him? Or are you just talking to yourself and you're not really saying it? Your heart is not open, you're not really saying it. As far as the spirit is concerned, nothing has been said. שנכנס למלך ולא נעשה בקשוסו ובדרך משה למלך שסוחו למטרניסו. So he says there are some times that someone can come in front of the king and ask what he wants to ask, and it won't be answered. And he says the metaphor is a king that the queen had offended. He sent her away. He said he doesn't want to see her in his kingdom. The king happened to travel to the country where his wife had run away. As soon as she found out that he's coming, she already arranged that she should be able to see him. She wanted to go and to beg in front of him that he should forgive her for whatever happened, that she can't live without him and she misses him terribly. She said to him the whole story of what happened to her from the day that he sent her away. And so she said all these things about how she misses him and how much she suffers because she doesn't have him, and how she appreciates how nice it was next to him, because now she can see how ugly it is without him. And so all these types of of speech helps the king return to her, and then he forgives her and they can unite. But אם בא בתרים ישראל אבל שבוגד בו, אז אם מוצא המלך שואל בצער בלאו וכי ויוסיף את הרמס לא יסב על צער, אין דברי נשמעים. Says, if she's going to come complain, she says, how dare you throw me out of the palace? You know what you did to me? You know how much I've suffered, and what's your justification? And based on what? And what did I do to you already? And so if she's going to come with that type of language, she's not going to get too far. She's going to get thrown out again. Because he is also in pain that he doesn't have her. So if she comes and she speaks about that pain they have in common. But if she comes to add more, to add a bigger argument, then she's closing the doors again. But there's still a possibility that even this type of speech can also help. If he's in a very good mood, he sees her side. He sees, wow, she's right. How could I do this to her? I didn't even realize how much she's going to suffer as a result of what I did. Then if it's a Eitz Rotzen, then even though she's speaking to him not in the right way, in the time of desire, she can be answered. He sees her and he sees that she is bitter, but he understands her bitterness and he can relate. So then she can be answered, even if she doesn't speak properly. So it says the difference is in the mood. When the king is in the right mood, then whichever way she speaks, she might get there. But when the king is in the wrong mood, if you speak to him the wrong way, there's no chance. So even though she spoke in a way of argument, but because he was in the right mood. Baal Shem nikra Shechina Riv. So one of the names of the Shechina is Riv, is argument. So it says for this reason she's called argument, is because sometimes he accepts her argument. Sometimes in Eitz Rotzen, even if she argues with him, he sees her way. And so this, it says in the Zohar, Riv is also the Oisi's Rebbe. And the Zohar describes the argument that we're supposed to have with the Shechina, because we're supposed to have for the Shechina, because we represent the queen. We represent the Shechina that's been kicked out from her home. And so we are supposed to represent this discussion with the husband. We're supposed to create the tachnunim. This is why we pray. We're creating the tachnunim for the husband, and we're saying, hey, it was so good for us having you. We know that you're the powerful one. We know that you're the source. We know that you give us everything. We want to have a relationship. We want to find the way home. We want to find the way back. And so we are the queen speaking to the king and trying to convince him to come back. And so this argument is an argument that we are supposed to have, and she is upset when we don't have it for her, because then who's going to speak up for her? If we don't speak up for the Shechina, who's going to speak? Who's going to be her spokesperson? Who's going to make sure that she's properly represented in front of the Creator? And so this is a riv, this is the argument that we are supposed to be leading. We're supposed to recognize that we are responsible for her relationship with the one who made her. We are responsible for what energy is being generated on this planet and beyond. And all of this. And everything that we can perceive. What is being generated over here? What type of a life force? The life force that's created by the human beings. The human beings is a complex creature. This is what makes this earth so special. This earth inhabits complex creatures. The stars are not complex creatures. The stars have one nature. A ball of fire, a ball of matter. There's a unity to the nature of the star, and it doesn't have the complexity that goes on this planet, where different stars come together and create bodies, create creatures that can have many different aspects united in one. And so this is where, in this place of the complexity, this is where the intelligence is generating the energy that gets translated by all the simple creatures out in the heavens. Their intelligence is deeper than ours because of their power, because of their enormity. The amount of energy that they generate means that they can perceive, they are aware in a much deeper place than us. And yet the complexity puts us above them. We can know the intelligence when they can't know the intelligence. They receive life from one place, and that's the only aspect of the intelligence they can ever know. And we receive life from the entire cosmos together. And so we can know the Creator intelligently in a way that they can't. So therefore, our potential, our soul, is higher than theirs. But our actual perception is much lower than theirs. And so we need to liberate them. They're waiting to fulfill their purpose when we do it right, and they know what we're doing. Each one from his own angle. We're using them to do it. How would they not know? And so the Shekhinah is waiting for us so that we speak up and we liberate her. We need to say the right words to liberate the Shekhinah. This is the way it's going to work. She's not going to be able to get out of this mess without us. And that's what we're all waiting for. We're waiting for the right words to be said. And then it will all change. Then everything will heal. Then we will know why things were the way that they were, and why they will never ever be like that again. May it happen now.